On Thursday, December 2nd, I leveraged unusual whales to call out an options trade on RIOT. The next day, that trade ran for 811%. In this video, I'm going to break down how I identified that trade. So the first thing that we're going to bring our attention to inside of unusual whales is the premium range. But before we get into the specifics, let's clear out the bad data. As a reminder, the first step to becoming wealthy and successful in trading stocks or options is protecting your capital. That means things like no YOLO trades, no letting something run beyond your stop loss, and not doing anything reckless. And we could talk about that in more depth in another video. Now, what will make you successful and wealthy is both your knowledge and your ability to execute with what you know. So in the same way that you protect your capital, you need to protect your knowledge base and filter out bad data from people who don't know what they're talking about. Let's see how that applies here with how we set up our premiums for that 811% return trade that we made on RIOT. Now in this case, I have premiums set to $50,000 plus, as you can see. Does that mean the rule is to always set your premium range to $50,000 plus? No, and I want to teach you how to set your premiums up for this trade or any other trade. And one way to know that someone doesn't know what they're talking about is when they tell you what premium range you should always be using. I've noticed the vast majority of people do this, and that's honestly because most people who become popular on social media are good at working social media. They're good at marketing, but they know just enough of the basics to make it seem like they understand what they're doing when it comes to trading. Back to the premiums. So to help you understand how we took this RIOT trade and to help you understand why it doesn't make sense to have a static premium range, we're going to look at how you set filters to create an edge. Let's compare a couple of stocks here, all right? So first we have RIOT, the security in question. As you can see here, RIOT has a market cap of about $3 billion. Keep that in mind, and this is all very important. Remember, quick answers are usually bad answers for this sort of thing. Now let's compare that data to Tesla. Tesla has a market cap of around $1 trillion. That's 333 times what we see from RIOT on the market cap side. So now quickly ask yourself, why would you use the same filter to gauge sentiment on Tesla that you would on RIOT? Let's use a real world example really quickly to help drive that point. Okay, so let's look at the option chains here, okay? And so what we're gonna look at first is we look at the options chain for Tesla. And I'm picking a strike that's just slightly out of the money, okay? And as you can see, I have it highlighted here on the page. We have the open interest and the volume. So look at the volume, look at the price. Let's assume that people are trading at the current bid price. And of course, that's not always going to be the case. It could be in the middle, it could be at the ask, it could be a slightly different price based on how this is moved. But let's just take that bid price, okay? So when you do the math for the amount of money that's been traded at that volume, at that strike, the premiums traded on Tesla are $154 million just on this one strike, okay? And there are hundreds of different strikes. So now let's look at what it is on RIOT. And this is important because I want you to have context so you can understand how to set up your filters to get winning trades. And I want you to know what's relevant. The same thing when we calculate it, how much in premiums has been spent on RIOT? Well, when you do the math here, it's about $500,000, okay? So that's the comparison. $154 million in options premiums traded on Tesla when we take a popular strike right outside of the money, versus 500,000. Again, 154 million versus 500,000. Are you getting it? And you understand why I'm telling you anyone who tells you there's a static filter isn't trying to help you. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to grow their social media account. So when we talk about this in application, knowing what we know about different option premiums where we had 154 million or 155 million on Tesla and 500,000 on RIOT, we ask the question, would a $60,000 premium showing up in unusual whales being spent on Tesla signal a big move to you? No. On a relative basis, all else equal, that's not very significant. Why? Because we see how much is traded on Tesla. It's a mega cap. It's a $1 trillion company. 154 million just on that one strike. A 60,000 premium isn't very significant. Now, how about a $50,000 move on RIOT? Would that signal a significant move? Maybe. Yeah, maybe it would. So what you're seeing here is that when you set your filters up, Don't just set it at some static price. Again, when someone gives you the one-word answer, red flag, they don't know what they're talking about. So $50,000 move on RIOT? Maybe, right? I never say 100% that something's going to be a significant move, because there could be a counter move. It could be part of a multi-leg trade. You could see simultaneous a $50,000 move for a bullish move with a simultaneous bearish move. So I say maybe. And when we're setting our filters and analyzing premiums, you need to analyze the move relative to the underlying security. That's really what I'm driving home here. Now, is it true that there's a basic minimum? Yeah, I think so. I tend to not look at anything under $25,000 since I don't focus on small cap securities where that might be significant, but how you filter needs to be in proper context for your securities. If you set your filters too low for a mega cap like Tesla or Apple or Microsoft, which are all highly liquid and see a lot of volume, you'll see all the plays. So someone can make that argument, but that's so inefficient and it's horrible, because you're going to be absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of data coming back at you, and it will cloud your analysis. You'll get pages of it. So remember, the entire idea behind using a filter is to filter down information to give us a clear view that removes noise and insignificant data so we can focus on what's significant. And that's what I do. Now, using this principle, we set our filters to $50,000 when looking at RIOT. And here's what we saw on Thursday, December 2nd. Now, if you take a look at this screen here, so you can see through the latter half of the day, it is almost nothing but bearish flow. You see one bullish flow coming back, but when you look at the amount of moves, you look at the premiums, it is all pushing in one direction, is completely dominated. It's bearish side. So then we look at the underlying price. From that point, we hadn't seen a big move either. So it's not as though they made these moves and the stock already moved in their direction and they cashed out. So that gave us confidence that there would be a move to the downside. And then we set our levels with precision. And I'll have a different video about setting levels, because that's a completely separate topic in and of itself. And listed puts at a strike price of $32 on my daily call out watch list. And from there, we see that we take the trade. Okay, when you look over here, here's our level. We had an entry price of 45 cents per contract, and it ran all the way to $4.11, giving us an 811% return. Now, a quick word about exiting. And again, this is another thing that a lot of the fakes out there, the guys who are good at marketing, do. When I talk about the 811%, that's how far it ran. And I'm going to tell you, I personally did not hit that number. I exited at about 500%, which is still phenomenal. Why did I exit? Well, when you look at it, you see we have a big move down, right? We have a little bit of consolidation, and then I set some levels of where I'm going to exit if it pulls back. So I have two things that I do when it comes to exiting. So I'm just going to give you the general. And I've talked a lot about this on Twitter. I will either use a trailing stop or I will size out. When do I use one and not the other? Well, and sometimes I combine them both. If it's a stock where I have concerns about liquidity, I will take size off. Why? Well, if I have concerns about liquidity, that means I'm concerned about getting filled and getting all of my contracts filled at a certain price and being able to exit. So I take size off to have a smaller position. That way I can get filled more easily on lower volume. Now, if I'm very confident and it's extremely liquid, something we're talking about like a Tesla or Microsoft or something with just a ton of volume, I won't take size off, because once you take size off, you can't enjoy the upside, right? If I sell contracts and then they move, I can't enjoy the move that they make. And in this case, you can see there's a strong pullback, and it was a Friday. I had some liquidity concerns. I took some off the table right around here, and then we had another move down, and then we had a little pullback again, and then I closed out my position. So I didn't quite catch the peak. I didn't catch the 811%, which would have been right here, but I'm still pretty happy. So keep that in mind. No liquidity or low liquidity or concerns about liquidity, take some size off. It's great. You're putting money in the bank. If you don't have concerns about liquidity, set a trailing stop. Hit your trailing stop, you're out. So if it retraces, triggers, liquidate your position, you have your profits. Okay, I hope that was helpful. If you appreciate this and you're not on unusual whales yet, I really appreciate the support. Just click on the link in the description and you'll get a 5% off on your subscription to Unusual Whales. I really appreciate the support. I'll come back with more videos in the future, and you can also make sure to check out my Twitter page, see my daily callouts, and that's at Profits Taken. Good luck, guys.